Hey guys, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com with another cooking video. Soccer starts back soon, so this might be the last one for a while. We're gonna make homemade gnocchi. So this is a very simple recipe. Flour, roasted potatoes, a little bit of kosher salt, and an egg. So it'll be a quick one, and I'll show you the steps. But right now we have some roasted potatoes, and I'll just show you right there. So you'll want to bring them, put them in a pot. About 2 pounds you'll need of these for one serving of 4 people. About 2 pounds of those. If you can't find those, the roasted potatoes, you can find any white potato is fine. But you don't want to peel them before you put them in the water. Put them in a pot, fill them with about an inch over, and put them on a sort of a medium boil, bring it to a medium temperature, bring it to a simmer. Then you take the lid off a little bit, continue to allow it to simmer. And this is going to be for about 30 to 40 minutes. You can grab a skewer and stick the skewer through the potato. If it goes through the potato nice and softly, then it's perfect. You take them off, take them out of the water, and I'll show you the next step after that. All right, we're at the point now where they've been cooking for about 30-40 minutes, and you should be able to, with a skewer, literally go straight through it with ease. So you'll see that's literally going through it, which is telling me that they're ready to go. So we're going to take them out now, and we're going to peel them and then cut them into halves. All right, guys, we're at the point now where they've cooled down. So when they cool down, you should be able to, and always do this, let them cool down. Don't try and peel them. But the skin, if you boil them for 30 to 40 minutes, the skin should easily peel off on these. Any of the excess dots that potatoes might have when the skin is off, you can use the peeler and get rid of those. But at this point, you want to slice them in half because you're going to run them through a ricer. So you cut them in half, get them in a bowl, let them cool down just a little longer. Not everyone has a ricer, so if you don't have one, everyone does have one of these. With the 4 sections to it. Obviously that's the mozzarella section. You're going to go opposite of the mozzarella section. This is the coarsest one, or the smallest one. You can run them through there, and then you're just going to let it settle to room temperature. So we're going to do that now, and I'll show you the next results. All right, so we've run it through the ricer, or in this case we ran it through a grater. Actually, to a correction, it's not the grater on the opposite side of the mozzarella one, this one here, because that's more for pulp. It's actually the one on the side that has just a cutter going downwards. This one has one sort of facing each and every way. So the cutter downwards is the one you'll do it, and as you'll see, it literally shreds up for you. So at this point now, we're just going to let it cool down just a little bit. It tends to drain a little bit as well too, the potato, and at that point, we're going to mix it with a flour and egg and kosher salt mixture. We'll get that in a minute. All right, at this point, it's now room temperature. I can feel it. So what we're going to do is lightly flour the surface, because we're going to, well, you can do this in a bowl. I'm doing twice the recipe. So I'll have the recipe for 3 to 4 people, but I'm doing this for 6 to 8. So it's going to take up a lot more room. So we've got the potato there. For 3 to 4 people, it calls for 1 egg. We're obviously using 2 in this one. So we're going to add the egg to the potato. The flour and the kosher salt, we've already mixed it together. So we're going to start to add this, and then you're going to sort of knead it together. So we'll add, normally it's 1.5 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt. Obviously I've doubled that up for this recipe. And you're going to begin to knead this all together. I'm going to come back once I've done more of this. Okay, I know someone's going to ask what is kneading the dough, in case you've never done this before. Obviously, it's continuing to rotate it in a circle on a floured surface so you can move it better. And you only really want to do it after you've mixed it together. You only want to knead it for about a minute, minute and a half, because at this point, anything longer than that, and there's a good chance that when you roll these out, which we'll do in a little bit, and you cook them, they're a little tougher, and you don't want them obviously tough. So they should be a little sticky, and you can sort of feel it's smooth. So what we're going to do is, because we're going to have to do this in little parts, we're going to flour a surface where we can move this to. And at that point, we're going to cover it with a rag, a clean dish towel, and then clean off the surface, and then we'll be back to start rolling these things into actual gnocchi. All right, at this point, we are at the sort of the end point of it. We've got a large baking sheet that has parchment paper on it. We're going to lightly flour it. And then now the work surface is clear, we're going to reflour that. And you're going to take a portion out because we're going to work in and then recover it back up. So maybe the size of, let's say, a small peach. And we're literally going to obviously turn it into a little ball. And then we are going to start to roll it out between our palms on the flour. So what you want to do is just continue, obviously, to stretch it out. You can sort of eyeball everything as you're going. More than half an inch. I'd say about 3/4 of an inch. So I'll show you the finished product and the cutting in a couple of minutes. So as you're rolling them, after you've done, and you'll see as we'll look at the parchment in a second, I like to cut them in sort of, let me see if I can angle this a little bit more. Move this over. And cut them on an angle, and kind of a fair size, if you can see that one there. And literally just continue on, cutting them the whole way through. Now, if you're making these, obviously best to make them the day, that one's too small, cast off. Probably good to make them the day that you're going to have them. The reason for this is you can freeze these, but if you're going to cook them, it's probably not a good idea to put them all in the water at the same time, only because obviously frozen gnocchi are going to bring the water temperature down, which means that by the time it builds back up and these things start to float, there's a good chance that they've also fallen apart. So these take minimal cooking time, because remember, the potatoes already been cooked. There's only an egg in each recipe. All right, we are done. They all been rolled. They're on the trays. Flour them one last time on the tray. That'll help them from getting too sticky as well too. As you'll see this tray, if you look a little closer, I gave them the old Italian style fork impression, press them down. Still have to do the other tray. The great thing about these is if you're cooking them same day, which is why you should be doing this recipe, you literally want to boil your water and then drop them in. As soon as they start to float, within 30 seconds or 45 seconds of starting to float, these things are done. Don't overfill your pot with them. You can cook them in batches because they cook so quickly. You can also freeze these. But here's the thing is if you're going to freeze them in smaller packets and then cook them in smaller packets. And the reason is that when you're boiling water and it's nice and hot, and then you put in a big clump of gnocchi in that are frozen, it's going to take that water temperature right down. And then you know what's going to happen is by the time these things are cooked, they've also fallen apart and gotten watery. You don't want that to happen. So this is the recipe. It'll be up on the website as well too. Cup and a half of flour, That would be too sweet. Cup and a half of flour, a teaspoon of kosher salt or regular salt if you don't have it, 1 egg, and 2 pounds of Cosette potatoes. If you can't find those, just any white potato. And that is enough to make 3 to 4 servings of gnocchi, full-size servings. Remember to like the channel and subscribe to the channel as well too, or like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. All the best.